I contacted the agent and he said, I don't think you're suitable. And I was like, oh, please, just let me try.
Friends of the union, the most brutal act has occurred.
A couple of my friends said to me that they had been sent audition scripts for a new movie that was coming out, and that it was a comedy. And I have always wanted to do comedy. You know, I always get cast as the villain. So I was like, oh great, I have to get this audition script. So I contacted the agent that had been sending out the sides and I said, hey, come on, let me have the chance to audition. And he said, I don't think you're suitable for any of these roles. And I was like, oh, please, just let me try. And he said, okay, fine, you know, here are the sides, let's see what happens. But I don't think that you match what they're looking for. And I'm like, okay, no worries, I just want to try. So the audition sides were for a character giving a hateful, racist speech. And so I sent it off to the agent. And then I was speaking with someone else connected to the casting process a few days later. And she said to me, oh yeah, it's a movie by Chen Sicheng. Oh, okay, Detective Chinatown. Maybe a week or two later, the agent got back to me and said, oh, they actually like what you did. They're interested in having you on the cast, but can you swim? And I'm like, no. How important is swimming? And he's like, yeah, it's kind of important to the storyline. And I'm like, well, you could tell them that I can learn to swim. And he's like, okay, cool. I can tell them. Because it was still maybe 10 weeks, maybe even 3 months before the movie was meant to start production. And he's like, yes, one small extra detail. So apart from the swimming part, you need to dive. And I said, what, like dive into the water? And he's like, no, dive as in under the water. And I'm like, yeah, that's not happening. Because not only could I not swim, but I was terrified of water. And I still hadn't seen a script at this point, so I didn't know exactly what was involved. So he's like, okay, I'll tell them that, you know, you'll learn to swim. And I was like, yeah, but the contract needs to specifically say, I will do my best. I said, I want it written in the contract that if I do this, they can't force me to do something I'm not comfortable doing. Because over the years, sometimes I'd be on set and they'd say, oh, you know, could you do this thing? And I'd be like, well, I don't really do that anymore. Oh, it's fine, it'll be completely safe. And then I end up breaking my ribs or ending up in hospital or, you know, covered in cuts and bruises and just, yeah, it's no good. So I was like, as long as that's in the contract and they agree to that, then we can move forward. And then over the course of about a month, we went backwards and forwards on the contract and, you know, the payment and everything else. And I was like, okay, this is a big franchise. I want to be involved with this. Let's just do it.
Friends of the union, the most brutal act has occurred right in front of our eyes. Not only was that lovely girl brutally murdered, they removed every single organ from her body. They eat everything.
Savages!
Of course, I'm saddened. Not only for the death of our compatriot, but for our homeland. You see, those Chinese, they come here. They come to our homeland. They take over our streets. And then our hospitals, our schools, our cities. And eventually they will take over our government. The feet of our women will be banded. And then our country will be littered by their brothels, by their opium dens. What the is the third one?
Casinos, brothels,
okay.
opium dens.
Our country will be littered by their casinos, by their opium dens, by their brothels. Americans will be jobless. There'll be more diseases. There'll be more extortion. There'll be more murders. My fellow Americans, can you accept this? So what are we waiting for? Let's drive them out.